Well, President Biden is now facing pressure to keep the National Guard away from the U.S. southern border. The nation's largest Latino advocacy group, it's called LULAC, is urging the president to stop states from sending their own law enforcement troops to tackle the border crisis, saying, quote, "We told the president in no uncertain terms, this is an insurrection by recalcitrant and rebellious states that must be stopped." At least a dozen states have deployed National Guard troops to confront the surge of migrants. Critics, though, say the Biden administration really left them no other choice. Listen.
This administration, from top to bottom, cannot pretend to be serious about the crisis at the border if they refuse to secure our border. And that means enforcing our border policies, but that also means ending the magnet policies that are drawing people over here in the first place. Clear the Democrats are not addressing anything, but I'm really glad to see that there are some governors and some leaders that are taking matters into their own hands because they need to. They need to protect and defend their states.
Well, Mark Brnovich, the Attorney General of Arizona, joins us now. Hi, sir. Thanks so much for taking time for us. This is now essentially pitting President Biden's executive prerogative against states' prerogative to protect their own security interest. Who do you see coming out on top here ultimately?
Well, thank you, Gillian, for having me. And I think the first thing we always need to start with is, what does the Constitution say? And the reality is the states created the federal government.
Sounds like a reasonable place to start.
The federal government did not create the states.
Sorry, I said that sounds like a reasonable place to start.
Oh, thank you. No, yeah. No, and I mean, look, here at the end of the day, the federal government is charged with protecting our borders. They are not. The states have the right to have militias. We have the right to have, historically, law enforcement, public health and safety was left to the states. The Biden administration has advocated their responsibility. They've incentivized people coming here. We have record amount of people trying to cross our border illegally. We know that there are 1.2 million people deportation orders. They are refusing to deport, including that means criminals are being released into our community. So the states are trying to do everything they can. But the reality is that this is the Biden administration's job. And one of the things that worries me so much, Gillian, about this letter, in one of our lawsuits against the Biden administration, emails had come out that during Black History Month, activists had sent the White House urging them emails and letters saying to stop deportations, and they did. So they're not listening to ICE, they're not listening to law enforcement, they're listening to activists. And so I think this is a bad sign that the Biden administration is going to cave again to the far left wing of the party, and that's going to result in people in the United States getting hurt.
So take a look at this. A new poll now shows that 33% of respondents approve of President Biden's handling of the southern border. 51% disapprove. This is an issue that has dogged him, it seems like, from day one. I mean, the vice president has now traveled to the border region. She's traveled to the Northern Triangle countries. Have you seen any signs from anybody in the administration that the path forward may be clear, that things may improve?
No, I think if by any objective standard, whether you look at the numbers, whether you look at the spike in fentanyl coming across our border, whether you look at decrease in drug prices, which means there's more supply, the Biden administration has empowered the cartels. They've made our communities more dangerous by allowing criminals or those charged with crimes into our communities, and it's only going to get worse. Look, I don't care about the polls. I don't look at those. What I do care about is protecting hardworking Arizona and American taxpayers. And I am telling you, there's going to be fiscal costs associated with this, and there's going to be human tragedy costs associated with it, whether that's the increase in overdose deaths, whether it's the increase of drug dependency because what the cartels are doing, or whether it's, God forbid, one of these criminals being released hurting you or one of your family members. The Biden administration has advocated their responsibility.
So we've also learned here at Fox News that the White House and the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, are eyeing the possibility of taking multiple other states to court now over these new election laws. In addition to Georgia, it could likely include your state. Want to bring this up for viewers. In a new letter to the DOJ, you've promised to fight any legal challenge that you might receive. You say Arizona will not sit back and let the Biden administration abuse its authority, refuse to uphold laws, or attempt to commandeer our state's sovereignty. It's a bold promise there. Are you confident that you're going to prevail in a court of law?
Yeah, Vini Vidi Vici. I mean, if you look at the case I just argued at the U.S. Supreme Court, we won, Brnovich v. DNC, it is clear the courts are not in the mood for this nonsense. We know, Gillian, if you look at the hypocrisy of the left, there are states like New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, the list goes on and on, that have way more restrictions when it comes to voting than Arizona does. We offer a plethora of options. So if indeed the Biden administration wants to take our state to court, I will fight them. And to quote Al Davis, we will just win, baby.
Does the recent SCOTUS ruling on Arizona kind of up the ante for you, make the bar higher?
Well, I think it's going to make it much more difficult for DOJ to proceed with these publicity stunts. And let's make no mistake, that's what they are. The Biden administration is trying to appease the far left of the party, and what they are doing is shredding the role the Department of Justice has traditionally had. I worked at DOJ at one point, and the idea that they're going to kind of selectively go into red states and file lawsuits because they want to micromanage our elections is really not only contrary to the Constitution, but it exposes how political this is, because we know that there are a whole host of left-wing states with way more restrictions than a state like Arizona has. So shame on the DOJ, shame on the Biden administration for caving to left-wing activists.
All right, we got to leave it there. Attorney General Brnovich, thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.